So I'm pleased to introduce Bill McDonough. Bill is a globally recognized leader in sustainable development. He was trained as an architect, and so his interests and his influence range widely from work at large scales down to really the molecular level. Time magazine recognized him in 1999 as a hero for the planet, stating that his utopianism is grounded in a unified philosophy that, in demonstrable and practical ways, is changing the design of the world. He has written and lectured extensively on design as the first signal of human intention everywhere and at all scales. McDonough and German chemist Michael Braungart co-authored Cradle to Cradle, which really is a seminal work in sustainability field, and I'm happy to say that Bill has finally produced a second book, Upcycle, which will be released soon. And in addition to his work with William McDonough and Partners in McDonough and Braungart Design Chemistry, he also advises major enterprises worldwide through his advisory group. He's an outstanding guy. I'll tell you what, there's nobody more focused and more knowledgeable about this field, and so we're really thrilled to have Bill McDonough. Bill?
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Isn't this a great place to have a conference? I have a lot to say, and I'm going to go quickly, and I'm going to have some fun, and I hope you do too. I'm going to make fun of zero. Why? Because zero is nothing. It's no thing. Now, what happens when we make things? Do they go poof? So I'm going to have some fun with this. Let's talk about what it means. Let's see if I got the right button here. Which one? Yeah, there we go. I'm going to talk about going beyond zero. I like to be outside the box. What if we go beyond zero waste? What would that look like? Which button am I meant to be pushing here? This one? There we go. Let's try this. What if we eliminate the concept of waste? This is Hanover Principle number 6 that I wrote in 1992 for the German government. And the idea here is not just to minimize waste, but to eliminate the entire concept and to start to think about something like this. Waste equals food. I was born in Tokyo, Japan. As a baby, I would lie on a futon staring at the ceiling and listen to the farmers with their ox carts come to collect our sewage to take it to the farmers for fertilizer. And I always thought the city and the farms were one organism. And when you're 3 years old, poop stories are everything. So this was just heaven. And my mother would sing us songs about the honey wagons coming to collect the night soil. And it was just like, oh, this is so beautiful. Anyway, I haven't forgotten that. I'm still like that. So I think cities are the same as farms, as you'll see. And I also pointed out in 1991, I made a statement at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine, the world's largest cathedral, in there, a speech there. I said, away has gone away. Remember how we used to throw things away? Could somebody tell me where away went? I think now that we've seen the Earth from outer space, away has gone away. And zero is nothing. Is it no thing? What about this place? What about away? So if we're all going to be indigenous people to the planet, well, then I think we need a how to eliminate the concept of waste. And part of that would be, let's look at biological systems as things that cycle in metabolism, those farmers collecting the night soil. But in the last 5,000 years, humans have done pretty amazing things. We went to the moon. What else? Well, we're really not that smart, actually. It took us 5,000 years to put wheels on our luggage. But what if we can make things like televisions and airplanes, and we start to think about another system of nutrition in 5,000 years, which we call technical nutrition. This is the intellectual gift of Cradle to Cradle. We have biological nutrition and technical nutrition. If we think that way and eliminate the concept of waste, what happens? So I'd like to point out, and thank Mr. Wayne for bringing it up, I'm a designer. That's where I come from. And design is the first signal of human intention. So what are our intentions? I met with the world's largest textile or apparel company, And we had looked at all the textiles they're using, and there are 2,500 synthetic chemicals being used, put next to human skin that were never designed to be there, and they're accruing in human mother's milk. 2,500 chemicals in human mother's milk. It means that human mother's milk would be illegal to sell on a store shelf. Is that our intention? Do we intend to poison the daughters who become the mothers? Really? Is that our intention? If it is, we're doing great. If it isn't, what are we doing? So, art is a signal of human values. So, as an architect, I get to work with design, intentionality. I design something for you. What do I intend? I intend to serve. If I work with art, I express values of our time. If we're scientists, we look for real truth. Real truth. We look for data. And if we're engineers, as engineers like to say, in God we trust. All others bring data. So we're working with metrics, and we're looking for goals to achieve those goals. So think of those four things. Think of Plato, truth, beauty. Think of Aristotle, science, mathematics. Let's put all this together now. 5,000 years. And what have we learned? History teaches. That's what history teaches. History teaches, as Gertrude Stein said, that history teaches. Well, any system that doesn't use feedback is stupid or insane. Darwin pointed out evolution is a feedback loop. So don't keep up. You, out of the gene pool. Right? So he also said that if you continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, you're insane. So what are we resulting in? Human mother's milk that would be illegal to sell on a store shelf? Really? So what is our intention? If we look at the history recently, and I put this together for today, let's go to the 1700s. I came here from Charlottesville, Virginia, as the Dean of the School of Architecture at University of Virginia from 1994 to 1999. I had the privilege of living in a house designed by Thomas Jefferson. It's a marvelous thing. You can ask people to dinner, and they come. And if we think about the 1700s, we took the idea of the natural rights that were evolving in the Western tradition from the Enlightenment, and we end up with the Declaration of Independence. And if you study Jefferson and his 16 days in which he wrote the Declaration of Independence at the age of 33, you look at the end of his life and you find his last design, his tombstone, and on it you'll note only the things he designed. It says, Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of American Independence, the Statute of Virginia for Religious Freedom, which became the Bill of Rights, and father of the University of Virginia. Notice anything missing? Can you imagine being president twice and it's not important enough to put on your tombstone? He's only recording his legacies, not his activities. No jobs, just what he left behind, the things that he designed. So if we look at the idea of human rights coming out of the 1700s in the Western tradition, and then we go to the history of them, we realize he looked at Magna Carta, he read Anglo-Saxon. We end up with the Declaration of Independence, but really it was only 6% of the population at the time, white, landowning, Protestant males. And then we get to emancipation with Lincoln, we get the 19th Amendment, the women come on board in this century, then we get the Indians, then we get the Civil Rights Act, and then in 73, the first time something other than a human is given the right to even exist. So we see that the idea of rights is something that we've taken up now. The world is looking for this idea. There's such a thing as a human right. Water, clean water has been declared a human right. Well, how about you don't get clean water? Really? Don't you think people should get clean water? So think about that. Then in the 1800s, after Adam Smith dies in 1790, we end up with the market economy, and we start moving away from feudalism toward capitalism and the market economy. Very interesting. And then during the 1800s, this takes hold, 1900s in full play, and where are we today? In the meantime, where does nature fit into all of this? Because they talk about sustainable development involving nature. But what is nature? In 1838, or 1836, Emerson was asked to write an essay at Harvard on the subject of nature. What is nature? What is natural? His conclusion was that nature is basically the things too big for humans to affect. The oceans, the mountains, the leaves, the river, the air. Well, so much for the 19th century. So when we get to the 1900s, all of a sudden we've got fossil fuels, we've got a market economy, we've got the natural world that we can't affect, it's too big for us to change. We've invented the steamship. It goes across the ocean. It's operated by people putting fossil fuels in the mouths of boilers, working in the darkness, when they used to be on a recyclable craft, operating in the open air in a solar-powered vehicle that was recyclable. But we can go everywhere we want, when we want. Of course we want to do that. It's attractive. But what happens? The 1900s, we take, we make, we waste. So in the 1970s, we go, wait a minute, 1972, Brundtland Commission, sustainable development comes along as a concept, serving future generations' needs while we work today. But what happens in the 1990s, we're watching all the legislation in the environment. Society is trying to send a signal to industry like, we're in trouble here, folks. And a regulation is a signal of design failure because the government steps in and says, wait a minute. Society steps in, wait a minute. We didn't give you the right to release cadmium into our river and poison our children with mutagens and carcinogens. We're going to regulate the dispensing of cadmium, you see? So we end up with this incredible asymptotical curve of environmental legislation. I don't know any business people who like this chart, right? Up and to the right is our typical thing, right? Not this, because it's not that we don't want these things. It's just, why do we have to have these things? Because there's bad design, that's why. People are making things that are potentially dangerous, and so of course society has to say something. But what if we didn't design things that were dangerous in the first place? And so what we see in 1992, again, is this World Business Council, in that case it was the Business Council for Sustainable Development, now the World Business Council, coins, according to their website, in 1992 the term eco-efficiency. And it says, we will use less, we will minimize damage. All these words, less, minimize, avoid, reduce. Why? Because we're bad, that's why. The problem is, less and bad are not two negative numbers that multiply into a positive. Less is a relationship, bad is a human value. So you are still bad by definition, just less so. So is being less bad being good? No, of course not. These are human values. Wait a minute. And what about the metrics? Less bad, okay. Is it better to be less damaging? Sure. But is it enough? Have you changed the design? So instead of 2,500 chemicals, let's just do 2,000. Is less good? See? So it's really interesting. You have to stop and think, I think. So we were, at the same time, we issued the Hanover Principles from the German government as a gift, and it was designed for sustainability. But this term sustainability, we've got to stop and think hard about this. I've been asked to be provocative today. I hope this is okay. See, if I asked you, what's your relationship to your spouse? And you said, sustainable. I'd say, oops. I'm sorry to hear that. That sounds really boring. You know, what is this, maintenance? Really? Sustainable? That's all we got? Come on. We want growth. We want our children to grow. We're businesses. We want to grow. Now, waste management. You call it waste, we call it nutrient, but okay. We want you to grow. Does that mean we want more waste? Or more nutrients to manage so we can have more good things that are in cycles because that's why you're here? Why are businesses making things that we throw away? Why are businesses making things that are liabilities and costs? I thought businesses are supposed to produce assets. Why would any business make something that goes away? And eco-efficiency, when a company comes and says, oh, we saved $300,000 on energy and water last year, it's our eco-efficiency program. Well, is that good for the environment? It has nothing to do with the environment. You guys were that badly managed? You threw away $300,000 worth of energy and water? What were your managers thinking? Oh, so you're using less from the environment that you're toxifying, but what does that have to do with eco? It's just bad management. You were throwing money away. Think about it. So in 2002, we wrote Cradle to Cradle, Remaking the Way We Make Things. And it's about a positive attitude, which requires us to think through the making of things, and we'll talk about that. Because the other thing, and I think you'll hear from Dr. Crow tonight, because I'm on his board at ASU, Sustainability, GEOS. We're going to talk about the Anthropocene era, because if we look at this big picture of humans, we are now the dominant species. And we dominate the entire planet. 99% of the large mammals in the world are managed by humans. So this is the era where we change the climate. We change the acidity of the ocean. It's gone from 8.02 to 8.06, 8.2 to 8.06 since 1850 with anthropogenic carbon dioxide. And at 7.9, we're looking at carbonic acid in formation. And at that point, which we expect to reach at the end of the century with the current carbon releases, mollusks can't form shells and small vertebrates can't form skeletons. We're killing the food chain. So this is not insignificant. So this is what the scientists tell us in the primary scenario of climate change. Watch Miami. Now. Goodbye, Miami. So if we start to think of what it means to be occupying this planet, I want to go back to some science. I went to Dartmouth College, and I come from Japan. I was an art student, and I saw Hiroshima when I was 5 years old. And so when I got to Dartmouth, I went to the physics department. I said, "Can I study nuclear physics?" And they said, "No, you have no credential for this." And I said, "Yeah, but you're the teacher. I'm the student. I pay tuition. Isn't there something we can do?" And the professor said, here's Einstein's special theory of relativity. Why don't you read this, and then we'll talk. You know? So I took the book back to my dorm, and I'm sitting at E equals mc squared and all these differential equations. And I'm going, I can't do this. And I kept staring at E equals mc squared. And I said, oh, I got to find out how Hiroshima disappeared, you know. And I stared at it, and then I looked at a fire burning in my fireplace, because this is New Hampshire, 1970, you know, trees are weeds. And I have this fire burning, it's beautiful. And I'm staring at it, at the flames, and I'm thinking, oh, this is entropy. We learned about it today. Well, entropy is everything's going to chaos, and it can never reaggregate. Okay. But I'm from Asia. There must be the opposite. So what is the opposite of entropy? What's negative entropy? And, you know, we can't reaggregate? We've only got chaos? So I went to the library, which was very nearby, and I looked for negative entropy in physics. I looked everywhere in the physics library, and I couldn't find it. And I got very frustrated. I went back to my room, and I was looking at the ashes, and I was looking at E equals mc squared, and all of a sudden it occurred to me. The reason I couldn't find negative entropy is not in physics. It's the log. It's biology, what Einstein called the mystery. So then I realized, oh, there's E equals mc. How many people have done that formula? Anybody here? Done the formula? Done the math? Want to do it? It's kind of fun. Takes a minute. Let's do it. Let's solve it. Watch this. Where's the number? C. It's the only number in that formula. 186,000 miles per second. Really big number. For my purposes, I'm an art student. Let's call it infinity. Bigger than I can imagine. Oh, just in case it's not big enough, let's square it. Fine. So, almost infinity squared. How's that, right? Okay. So that's a really big number. That means that if m is in any way a positive, as in one hydrogen atom, that the E is almost infinite. Boom. The hydrogen bomb. There it is. The atom bomb. Now, why was Einstein afraid? That's what I wanted to know. Well, of course he's afraid. You can release almost endless energy with one atom. You can wipe a city off the planet in seconds. Would you be afraid? Why are you afraid? Because it could be a tool. You see, a tool's value is ascribed by the human intention to which it's put. Is a hammer a good? Hammer doesn't know. If I hit you in the face with it, oops, it's a weapon. If I build you a house with it, it's a good tool, see? So the tool doesn't know. So we could use nuclear for medicine, sure. We could use nano for medicine. Great, is nanotechnology good? It depends on what you do with it. Good is a human value. If you scrub out my arteries, thank goodness, right? If you drop little bombs on people with nanorobots, you know, is it a good? I don't know. So you see, the tool's value is in the intention to which it's put. This is very important. Because, you know, famously, architects are known to be people who know less and less about more and more until we know nothing about everything. Engineers famously know more and more about less and less until they know everything about nothing. And everybody else knows nothing about anything thanks to their relationship with architects and engineers. So this schema of the global galactic solar system versus the thing, the molecule, is actually the range at which we're meant to be curious, isn't it? So it occurred to me that physics is actually the sun. That's energy, and our power is nuclear, and it comes from there. It's 8 minutes. It's wireless. Hello. And we have 10 times more than we need. Fine. So energy from the sun. Got it. And then it hits the earth, which is mass, which is chemistry, and we take all the chromium out of South Africa, put it in our products, and put little holes around the world so the future generations will go, what did you think? You toxified the whole place. And we lost all the chromium to our utility. What were you thinking or not thinking? We don't have chromium income. We don't have phosphate income. It's not raining phosphate. Okay? And what do we do with phosphate? We put it in our bodies, 3 grams a day. We poop it out. We put it in a sewage treatment plant. And then we put it in the water. And then what do? Go to Morocco for more? Really? What if the cities became fertilizer factories? I work with venture. I work with big stuff in China. We're looking at phosphate recovery, nitrogen recovery, methane recovery. It's a 12% economic return. So instead of thinking sewage treatment, think nutrient management. What if cities were fertilizer factories, producing slow-release fertilizer for farmers so they don't even have non-point source pollution? You got rid of the point source, you got rid of the non-source, because what's pollution? A material in the wrong place. What's a toxin? A material in the wrong place. Because what you realize then is the carbon is a material, and we're putting it in the wrong place because of the way we use energy. We don't have an energy problem. We've got endless resources of nuclear power, 8 minutes and it's wireless. And we know how to capture this, really. But it's the carbon, because we take the carbon from the atmosphere and we put it in soil if you're doing natural systems. That's how that works. That's how biology happens. Growth is good. We accrue carbon into soil. But if we take carbon from the soil and put it in the atmosphere, it's a toxin, a material in the wrong place. We convert carbon from an asset into a toxin. Now, if you look at what Crick then, as I looked at what it meant to be alive, what is this biology thing? He discovered, in 1953, he discovered DNA with James Watson, and then he went on to write an essay in 1962 called Molecules in Men. And in it, he asked this question: what does it mean to be a living thing? And his conclusion was, we have to have growth. Well, that's good news. Anybody here in business? Anybody want to grow? Growth is good. What an idea. If you're trashing the joint, growth is not good. Good is a human value. Okay. In order to grow, you need income. Anybody in business not understand this concept? Okay. We need revenue. Where's the revenue come from? The only revenue on the planet is from the sun. Interesting. That's where the revenue comes from. And then you need an open metabolism of chemicals operating for the benefit of the organisms and their reproduction. That's what it means to be alive. Now, what if we transfer that over to what it means to be a business and watch us grow? So we have to think globally and act locally. Well, we've heard that. But what if we do this? See? Let's expand the scale range. Architects, engineers, less, more, less. Isn't this exciting? The full range of human experience within the physical environment. And then we start to look at sustainable development as a concept coming along, and all of a sudden we realize that we used to have social capital, as I described, 1700s, 1800s, and we had socialism and capitalism. And socialism isn't good for the environment. The former USSR has now been declared by its scientists to be 16% uninhabitable. Okay? Now, Waste Management is headquartered in Houston. So if you look around, what is the equivalent of 16% of the US landmass? It's Texas. Could you imagine if we toxified Texas? That's what they did in the USSR. Socialist. Okay? No money, no environment. Right. Capitalists, are they good for the environment? Oh, cut down the trees, forget the fish. Whoops. All we care about is money. And so we've been somewhere in a social market economy. And with sustainable development, all of a sudden we say we could bring ecology into the mix. But if you're socialism and capitalism too extreme, you really need both, right? Social market economy, of course. Well, then what if we have ecological conditions? Then we can bring in economy, social equity, and ecology together in our decision making. This is the famous triad of sustainable development. But what we've seen is that people focus on the triple bottom line, and they're still bottom feeding. It's bottom line. That's a manager's job. Think about that. So as we run around this tool we use to say, if you want to be 100% fabulous, you want to be good all over the place, right? So that corner's money, money, economy. What's the question? Are you making a profit? If you're not, don't do it. You're a business. There you go. That's simple. Make a profit. Go for it. But then we can ask, are people earning a living wage? Are men and women being treated fairly and equally? If it's just equity, we would ask, this is where we find racism and sexism, nothing to do with environment, nothing to do with business. Then we can ask ourselves about, is it fair to put poisons in our mother's milk when they didn't ask for it? Is this some form of chemical harassment when nobody asked for it? Is it a form of remote tyranny? Isn't that what the Declaration of Independence was about? Freedom from remote tyranny? And what are we doing? Tyrannizing future generations with hazardous products that are sliding around? Do you know the cereal boxes in Europe have now been shown to be migrating toxic oils from the inks that were in the recycled paper that's in the recycled cardboard? Those at a level of 10 milligrams per kilogram are migrating through the high-density polyethylene bag into the cereal. You get products plus. You get cereal plus poison. Is that our intention? If we think about the larger context, we have to ask ourselves, what is fair? Is it fair to pollute the rivers and the oceans for future generations? Ecology would be, are we following nature's laws? Are we using renewable power? Are we celebrating growth? Are we using materials in safe, healthy ways in biological or technical cycles? And so this is ecology economy. This is asking the question, am I doing business while I follow nature's laws? See, that's really interesting. And we have found this to be immensely profitable because it's revenue generating. See, there's a difference between that and this, which is economy first, ecology second, which is eco-efficiency. Am I being efficient? The problem is being efficient is not sufficient. So you can be less bad, do the least you can, but we haven't changed anything really. And there are more people coming on board. We're 10 billion by mid-century. So what are we supposed to do? Talk about limits to growth and our population problem? If you look at a child in India and say, you're a population problem, is that fair? Do you want your children called a population problem? The minute we look at a child and we don't celebrate their joining the human race, human rights cease to exist. See? So what should we be doing about this? This is a big design problem. So for businesses, what we like to talk about is, why don't we do triple top-line thinking? How many of you are executives? Anybody here an executive? How many are managers? I guess the rest of you are just hanging on. Huh? All right. So, all right. All I know, I've seen who's here. You're leaders. Your job is to produce revenue. The job of business leaders is to produce revenue for the managers to manage to profit, okay? So it's not just manage it to profit, it's also generate revenue. So that's what we're talking about here. Let's celebrate growth. So what's next? You know what's next? Next is next. We have to think about the things we designed today and what happens next. I was at this textile conference I told you about. All of a sudden, I'm looking at all these people, and they're showing us all these weird textiles, that show your emotions or have LEDs or batteries built in or made from stem cells and grow on your arm. I mean, really amazing. And I asked those people making those textiles, what's next for the thing for you? And they go, oh, next year I'm going to bring this. It turns blue when you're upset. It's like, yeah, but what happens to the thing that turned red when you're happy? You just showed us. Oh, I don't know. It's toxic dump. You never designed what's next into it. So what company in the world should care about this? Why are we here? Isn't this fantastic? What's next is next. This company might be the most important company in the world because it could send signals upstream saying, bring it on. We're looking for assets, not liabilities. Think about that. See, value, 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 everybody, value. So I'm wondering if the 21st century, since we trashed the joint in the last one, what if we added ecology? So I work with the new leadership in China. I've been working in China for many years. And what we're in discussion there is not just the circular economy, which was the translation of our book into Chinese. That's two-dimensional. It's circular, it's the economy. Great, that got everybody's attention. But wait a minute, that's flat. What we're actually talking about is sustainable growth. Wouldn't you rather have sustainable growth than flatline? Well, then the economy can grow because we put solar energy in and whoa, up we go, like living things. And then beyond that, now we have to bring in society. It's not just the natural world and the economy, it's also society. So what is civil society going to look like in the future? What if we add ecology to the market and to social equity? Wow. So then what's next for humans in science? We move toward what is quality. What do we want? What is good? And the problem is, and I grew up in China, in Japan and China, is I knew Deming before he died, and he created total quality management, but it's misnamed. I knew him. It should have been named total quantity management. Its most precise tool is Six Sigma. That's statistical numbers. It's really total quantity management. The question has to be, as Peter Drucker pointed out, not are you doing something perfectly statistically? The question is, first, what are you doing? Because if you're doing the wrong thing perfectly, you're perfectly wrong. So what are you doing? That's the executive job. So if we're just saying to everybody we're going to reduce ourselves, and so here I am, I'm going to have some fun with zero. This is an ad by Toyota. Look at this title. They're showing us a picture of a tree, made out of humans, by the way, if you look closely. It's kind of strange. But anyway, our aim, zero emissions. Really? How about trees emit oxygen? Birds, fruit, color, smells. We want trees. They're not zero anything. They're 100% fabulous. So when I looked at that log in my dorm room at Dartmouth, I said, you know, if I'm ever an architect, I'm going to design buildings like trees. I'm not going to just reduce their energy consumption by 10%. I mean, this is 1970s, before the energy crisis. And remember what Sheikh Yamani said when they formed OPEC. They said, Sheikh Yamani, when do you think we'll see the end of the age of oil? And his answer was, I don't know if we'll ever see the end of the age of oil, but I can tell you this, the Stone Age didn't end because we ran out of stones. The oil age won't end because we run out of oil. We'll just go wake up. What are we putting carbon in the atmosphere for? It's liability, see? Anyway, zero emissions? Come on. That tree is emitting good things, positive emissions. Why don't we talk about that? So when you look at this, the idea that you would tell the market what you're not is kind of insane, really, isn't it? Can you imagine going to a store, not peanut butter? Right? All you're telling us is you want to be zero something. Right? Like, that's nothing. That's no thing. It's like getting in a cab out of here and I say, hey, to the cab driver, quick, I'm not going to the airport. Really? That's all we got? Or what if we're free of stuff? How about plutonium-free peanut butter? Doesn't cost anything. Plutonium-free. You're not telling me what you are. You're telling me what you're not. Why don't you tell me what you are? So all the charts in corporate social responsibility look like this, down to the right. How many people in business like this chart? Down to the right. Really? Expense accounts? Fine. Right? Safety records? You know, zero accidents? Good. That's where this comes from. The costs. But what about revenues? So we're saying take the things that are bad. This idea of zero as a goal, zero is nothing. Will you tell your kids, my goal is zero? It's better if I'm not here. Huh? Really? Dad? It's better if you're not here? Really? How about I make nutrients? How about I stomp around leaving behind wetlands? I'm going to show you that. So we take the bad and put it below the line. That's what we want to stop doing. Fine. Zero is a good thing in this because your trajectory is up to the right. We're business people. And then we put what we want on the top. Let's get on with it. So wouldn't it be exciting if we designed less things that aren't valuable to waste management when they get them and more things that were? Of course. Wouldn't it be great if we had less toxic things and more positively defined things? So let's upcycle everything. So we use this chart where we take a look at things and we upcycle. We say we have all these undefined things and we can make them better. And so we move to the green. We look at the planet this way. We can look at waste management this way. We can use cradle to cradle as a fulcrum. Archimedes said, give me a fulcrum, a lever, and a place to stand. I can move the world. Even the New York Times misquoted that the other day. They said, give me a lever and a place to stand. I can move the world. No, you can't. You can poke holes in it. You're not moving anything without the thing that does not move. So what are the principles you're using? What are you telling your children are the rock-solid things that you rely on, like virtue, goodness, health, safety, protection, growth, right? So we're looking at material health, material utilization, renewable energy, water stewardship, and we do our nutrient management. We have human health criteria down to the molecule, the parts per million, parts per billion. We have secrecy agreements, hundreds, thousands of them, to get into the formulas, to check every little thing, just because we need to know. God is in the details. So we look at details with this larger context. So we ban chemicals that accrue in human mother's milk. We don't need them. We can make bright red clothing out of 18 different dyes that we don't need cadmium. Don't tell me how little I can get away with wearing. Tell me I don't need it at all. We can upcycle cities. I'm working with some major cities in China and here around the world on upcycling the cities. We can upcycle what we call waste. We can take all those things and say, these are the ones we can't reuse, these are the ones we can. Why can't we do that? Why can't we upcycle the concept of waste itself? So as Peter Drucker said, management is doing the things right, leadership is doing the right things. So we move not just do efficiency, of course we do efficiency as demand side management, but we should do that because we're good business people. Of course we don't waste energy and water, we're just not silly people. But we also want to talk about eco-effectiveness. What is quality and how do we manage for that? Okay? And just FYI, ladies, I don't know if you know this, W. Edwards Deming, the Deming Prize in Tokyo is the highest prize in environmental quality, or in business, industrial management. He studied the women in the factories when the men left in the Second World War in the United States. They outproduced the men by about 40%. And they had no inspections. Everything was perfect. When the men came back, Deming said, you should have seen these people. They sat in circles, they talked to each other. They didn't have inspections, they didn't have exhortations, they didn't accept the concept of quotas. They would only make anything they could make perfectly, and they outperformed the men by about 40%. And the men came and said, well, we're hierarchical, we're inspection-based, we won the war. See you later. He went to Japan, formed Toyota, and the rest is history. So total quality management is really what we're looking at. And so what is the role of design and the role of commerce here? Well, commerce and the guardian are the two syndromes humans have evolved. Remember, social and market, okay? And the commerce, what we want as business people is the freedom to create and exchange value. So why wouldn't we design things so they're valuable for waste management, you see? Why not? Of course we would. And it's good up and down the chain, and we can close the cycles. That's the job of business. As Warren Buffett said, we don't really care what it is. We just want a level playing field. And we want to do our work, and we want to be free to exchange value. That's business, okay. The guardian, the state, its job is to keep the world free so that we can do our business and keep us from other tyrannies, to keep people from threatening us with war, to destroying our ability to be free. That's the job of the state. We don't give that to business. Business has never been given the right to kill. The state has that. It can take a criminal down. It can wage war. We give them that. We don't give it to our people. They don't have the right to kill. An industry, when it releases cadmium in a river, the state steps in and says, we have the right to kill. We'll tell you at what rate you get to dispense death. The state owns that, okay? So a regulation is a signal of design failure. So we've designed fabrics in Switzerland that are so safe you can eat them. They're being used on the Airbus 380. Of course, you want good air quality, but also if you find yourself at 40,000 feet with an extreme fiber deficiency, you can safely eat your chair. And what happens that's interesting is once you design like this, the trimmings, which used to be declared hazardous waste in Switzerland, had to be sent to Spain for burial and burning, right? They couldn't have you're selling trimming, you're selling product, the trimming is hazardous waste, really? You can't see an equal sign? Anyway, so now the trimmings are used for the local garden club as mulch, and the water coming out of the factory is clean as Swiss drinking water. Of course, it's just changing the chemistry. Oh, we reduced the cost by 20%. We found in Vancouver, they found they could extract from the sewage while they were trying to get these pipes not to mineralize and have to be replaced by clogging up. They discovered if they sent it through in a vortex, it came out like this. This isn't phosphate in the form of struvite, a slow-release fertilizer. All of a sudden, the cities are fertilizer factories. Isn't that beautiful? 12% return. So the city's making 12% on what used to be called a sewage treatment plant with a fertilizer factory. And we're not going to Morocco. For Warren Buffett, we did technical nutrients for carpet. These carpets are designed from caprolactam, which can become nylon 6, and the backing is thermoplastic polyolefin, endlessly reused. So now, essentially, the carpets are what we call product of service. They're leasing. You get the product of the services, which is appearance, acoustics, comfort, color, whatever. And then the company is warehousing its raw materials on their customers' floors. It's that relationship that is so valuable. And then the materials go back to become carpet again. We have 1.4 billion pounds of carpet in America that could be endlessly reused. How are we going to keep our textile industry? It's our last one if we don't keep the materials here in cycles. Think about it. We work in the big furniture industry, same thing. We designed this chair with steel cases, the think chair. You can take it apart in 5 minutes with tools you'd find in a kitchen drawer. And if it's in Mexico City 15 years from now, that's polycarbonate, that's polyester, that's steel, that's aluminum. They go into material supply chains as nutrients, as valuable things that waste management can sell, of course. And so our goal is a positive one. It's a delightfully diverse, safe, healthy, and just world with clean air, water, soil, and power economically, equitably, ecologically, and elegantly enjoyed. Anybody got a problem with this? It doesn't say less unjust, less unsafe. It says just, safe. So with the Postal Service, we have 2.8 billion objects, Cradle to Cradle certified. Used to be when your kid might have eaten that red ink, we might toxify the system, or that cereal box might get poisoned. But now, these are all positively defined materials. They're nutrients for biological systems. For material reutilization, we put things in flow. So they come back. We have systems for that. We work with 100% renewable power. Who are our clients? Walmart. Who's doing this? Google, right? And we can do it. Procter & Gamble, we just renewably powered their factory in China. 15 megawatts. First renewably powered factory in China. Government's very excited. We had to change 6 laws and 12 regulations. We got it done. Because we have to do this. They're very excited about it. Water, clean enough to drink, coming out of our textile mills and our factories, because we know how to do that. It's chemistry. And we want to be fair. And those are simply the 5 criteria of Cradle to Cradle. And we have techniques for this. There are materials that are going into international pools of materials to be reused. We can bank materials, and even in our buildings we can do that. We're designing buildings in the Netherlands. We know every material there. And we can actually go to the banks in our pro formas and say, we have commodity steel waiting in 15 years if we take the building down. It has value. We can watch the price of commodities. You can finance against it, and we've done it. It's beautiful. But we're thinking, we're being thoughtful. See, we're timefully mindless right now. We're in a hurry, and we're not thinking. What if we became timelessly mindful? What if we thought about future generations? What if we changed the term of capitalism from simply how much can I get for how little I give into how much can I give for all that I get? So instead of a world of limits, it's a world of abundance and sharing. I have just received a license. It's hard to believe this, but there it is. I have the license for the new media company formed by the Chinese, first private media company in China, and it's the Children's Channel, and I am the content provider. Isn't that something? Because we looked at the kids and said, what do they have in common? You know what they have in common? They have no families. It's third generation, single child law. These kids have no brothers and sisters, no aunts, no uncles. Isn't that amazing? Who's going to help them? The smartphone, the tablet, education for free. It's a building in the Netherlands, it's material pooling. This is Make It Right. Brad Pitt and I started something in New Orleans to bring the people back to lower Ninth Ward and give them choices. The mothers come back, the kids come back, they can't breathe, they have asthma. This is New Orleans, we sing, we dance in New Orleans, and the kids come home and they've been in FEMA trailers, and they can't breathe, they all have asthma. And within 4 months, they're singing and dancing. Of course. Is our intention to make it so our children can't breathe? Really? When NASA asked me to help with the Mars station, I said, no. Why are we going to the red planet when you can come back to the blue one? Tell us what you found. So we took the International Space Station design team, met in Houston. And we said, how'd the energy work? Oh, it's nuclear powered. It's 8 minutes wireless. We invented that. Right, we'll take that down. What about the water? We drink our urine. Interesting. It's $80,000 to get a gallon of water up there. Oh, okay. Well, could we cycle our water? Yeah, you're in charge of that. So anyway, we built it in less than 2 years for less than a normal federal schedule for building at the same budget. It can make 120% of the energy it needs to operate and purifies its own water. 120% of the energy. It's a building, like a tree. We want more of them, not less of them. We're looking with China at how cities can feed themselves. Cities as farms. There's a factory we're building in India. It's covered with solar collectors and farming. So just to close, What we're looking at is currency versus capital for the most simple economic system. Currency is here today, gone tomorrow. We got that. Capital is here today, tomorrow. An apple is currency, or a banana. An orchard is capital. And we're treating all the capital as if it's currency. And so what we're looking at is how can we have currency, add income from the sun, build our soils with carbon, use energy from renewable sources, put CO2 from the atmosphere as a benefit instead of a tragedy, make capital, and then create recurrency. Isn't that the job of a company like Waste Management? It's recurrency, isn't it? It's a recurrent company. Everything becomes current again. Isn't that beautiful? Instead of take, make, waste. And it goes where? Away? Really? Zero? Where is zero? Zero is like what? Nothingness? It goes poof. Can we explain this? Tell this to the kids. And then we recapitalize for their benefit, for all the generations. So what would it mean to be native to place? Native people aren't leaving. They're here to tell their stories for 5,000 years. We're here to tell our stories. Is this our story? 20th century? We trashed the joint. Oh, we should reduce our ecological footprint because we're so bad. What if we actually had a positive footprint? When I did Ford Rouge for Bill Ford, it's the world's largest wetland on the roof. Largest green roof. It's a wetland. And we saved 35 million capex. When I explained it to the board for funding, I said, look at it this way. It's going to save you 35 million bucks capex. That's like me walking in here with an order for $900 million worth of Ford Tauruses at a 4% margin coming out of Chicago. You want it or not? We're not leaving. Let's stop acting as if we're at a fire sale. What's next is what's next. This company is about what's next. It would be really beautiful if it sent some signals upstream to people sending them things, saying, let's design this together for what's next. And let's talk about the endless resourcefulness of things as nutrients and the endless energy from the sun. But let's also talk about the endless resourcefulness of our children and their children and their children. Because it's not just the endless resourcefulness of things and energy. It's us and our children. It's going to take us all. And it's going to take forever. But that's the point. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bill. Be careful walking down there. Well, thank you so much. Set a very high view of where we're at with sustainability and kind of the next challenge.